Okay, there we go. Everything is nicely set up. And now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Influence of Network, better known as I.O.N, where the purpose of this show is, as the title suggests, networking. Because in this life, your network is the key to your influence. And I want to be able to provide people with the keys of opportunity so they can open those doors. So, with that being said, let's sit back, relax, and listen to the guest. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing one Dr. LaFonda Beneby. So, Doctor, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Woke up to snow outside. I did not know it was supposed to snow.
Wow.
Yeah, I woke up, went to the bathroom, and I looked. I said, "What is going on? What's all?" It's like, okay, guess I gotta go shovel and clean the cars off.
Can't say I understand what you're going through. I'm Florida born and raised. So
Okay, well, yeah.
oh.
Yeah, it's that random Jersey weather.
Oh, Jersey.
Yeah, but it was good fresh air. Good fresh air. So there's a benefit there. It's a good benefit.
That's cool.
So what I like to do with the interviews is I like to start off and have the guests tell me a little bit about themselves so that me and the audience could have a little bit better understanding of who we're hearing from.
Okay. Well, I am a pediatric physical therapist that works full-time in the school system. I also am the CEO of my home health business, Therapy in Motion, that I work after school. I am the tech founder of a new app and web-based platform called Kidz-N-Motion. As I mentioned before, I was born and raised in Miami, Florida. My parents were teenage parents, so obviously they were separated by family when my mom was determined to have been pregnant. So my dad was in New York most of my life, and he still is. I was raised by my single mom in Miami. Both of them struggled a bit with addiction. So my extended family played a large role in my life, with the key figure being my grandmother, and major influence in my life, Lillian Russell. So they they had a large impact on how much I drove myself to do whatever it is that I wanted to do and to be at my best. Because my grandmother's words, and I will quote her, I will be content to have my head turn cold as long as I know that you're able to take care of yourself, which was a bit of a quandary for me. Because I certainly wanted to prove to her that I could take care of myself, but I never wanted her to leave. But I
Gotcha.
knew the challenge was to pursue excellence and to be great at whatever it is that I wanted to do. So I'm the only one of my grandmother's lineage to graduate college. And that simply means that my journey in life, including my struggles with infertility, my work, it just all led me to my purpose of what I do today as working with children.
Okay. That is quite a lot there. That is quite a lot.
And I gave you the Clef Note versions.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, because when I looked at your resume with LinkedIn, I was like, yo, this is a lot of in the same field. And something that I've noticed, like with a lot of previous interviews, a lot of people, if you check their resumes, like, oh, I've been in this field, that field. Then others are like, no, I've been in this the whole time. This has been my focus. And I was like, okay, she went here, got her degree, went here, got a degree. And I was curious because I was like, is she from Georgia or Florida? Because I see the school back and forth, and I was curious which one it was. But was was this always a field for you, the medical field, or was there something else that was calling to you?
To be honest with you, it started out obviously in high school with me thinking that I was going to go into accounting. And so I graduated from high school after doing a college tour. I went to Atlanta,
Okay.
fell in love with the Atlanta University Center, specifically Clark Atlanta University. So that was the only college that I applied for, got accepted. And not long after graduation, I started looking into healthcare professions. Even though I thought I wanted to go into accounting, that's why I chose a liberal arts college. Once I started to do some research into a medical profession, I decided, maybe I'll do physical therapy first and then go back to school and be a pediatrician. Lofty
Oh,
goal at 18. So But so that means that I left South Florida and my 5-year relationship with my then boyfriend to go to Georgia and attend Clark Atlanta University. It was a difficult task. It was a difficult task, obviously, because of the relationship and you're young. But it was a necessary one to do exactly what my grandmother wanted to see, was for me to be independent and on my own. So I lived in Atlanta for 2 years, and that was a long distance relationship, a little bit rocky at times. But after 2 years, he proposed. So I returned back to Florida, got accepted into FIU. And it was a necessary thing because at Clark, they did not have a physical therapy program.
Okay.
I would have had to transfer to Georgia State anyway. And considering I was a Florida resident, it made more sense to come back home in addition to the proposal, and get Florida State funds since I'm a resident of Florida. So I did get accepted into Florida International, but I had to meet with the advisor of the physical therapy department because that's a separate admission. Um, yeah, so I ended up meeting with a young lady by the name of Colleen Rose St. Prix. I will never forget her, and I still love her to this day. But she was very disappointed in my application. She said she knew more minorities that were more competitive than I was.
Wow.
Right. And so she said, why don't you look into the physical therapy assistant program at Miami-Dade Community College? So Sean, needless to say, I left that meeting a little deflated, but never deterred by a challenge. So I applied anyway to the PT department in 1994. And I'll never forget, I was still living on campus at the time. I had to call my grandmother to see, Mom, did you get any mail from me from FIU? And it was 10 o'clock at night. And she said, oh, yeah, I think something came from FIU. I got in my car. I drove at 10 o'clock at night to go and get that letter, woke up the entire house when I read and found out that I got accepted. Pretty cool thing about that is the fact that there was over 600 applicants that year, and they only accepted 66. So
Wow.
yeah, the PT program is pretty competitive. It remains that way to this day, which is the reason why our program has transitioned from bachelor's to master's to now being a doctorate level program, entry level doctorate. So there are no more bachelors, no more masters. You can only get a doctorate in physical therapy. So I
Wow.
graduated in 97 with my first degree. And thank God my grandmother was alive to see me walk across the stage. Unfortunately, when I completed my doctorate, I went back in 2009
Mhm.
and completed in 2011. Unfortunately, she wasn't there to witness that. But yes, healthcare has always been my mainstay. I had a glitch where I thought I wanted to do accounting.
Okay. Okay. That's like a big difference right there too, the shift. But it's like
Mhm.
you clearly made the right call.
I did. I did. I did.
Okay. So tell me, what was the motivation for creating your company, let alone the branch off to Kidz-N-Motion?
I decided to create my company to diversify and to kind of add and supplement my income because obviously school-based therapy doesn't pay a whole lot. But I also like the fact that I could create my own schedule. And so I wanted to see kids privately in their own home, which is why I created Therapy in Motion. But the catalyst for Kidz-N-Motion was COVID-19. When we went into quarantine and shut down. Before that, I was treating kids during the day, seeing them in the afternoon. And so now we go to COVID and there's no in-person visits. So we're talking about my private parents who were used to seeing me 2 to 3 hours a week, now not seeing me at all. And now they're confined in the house with this child that they don't really know what to do. And their main concern is my child going to regress without your services? And so it went on that we finally were essential and they approved in the state of Florida for physical therapy to be a reimbursable service through telehealth. So we could deliver it virtually through telehealth. It's not a usual tool for us because physical therapy is a hands-on intervention. It's kind of
Mhm.
difficult for me to even process and rationalize. There are other disciplines like occupational therapy and speech therapy that were using it before COVID, but for them to authorize for us to use it was a new arena for us. And so basically what I was doing in front of the camera, I had to, demonstrate my positioning and use the parents' hands on how to work with their child. And At the end of those sessions, I was fatigued. The parents were fatigued because this is the first time they're having to actually be that hands-on with their kids. And so you can only imagine they were just kind of exhausted. So the challenge was trying to keep kids focused on the screen to do what
Mhm.
it was that I was initiating for them to do. And the same time, teach a parent how to do it was a bit of a struggle because the tools that we needed to do that, what was going to keep a child engaged, were limited on the internet. So that is the catalyst and the reason why I created Kidz-N-Motion.
Okay. I can imagine a lot of parents really was almost like a shock because one, if your job wasn't essential, then you're in the house. Then if you have more than one child, it's like, okay, well, okay, I have to watch her. You go to class. Do not be late for that login on the computer. And it's just like it's a shock for a lot of people. I know one of my previous guests, Dr. Amir Bashidian, a chiropractor in Maryland, and he was like, looking at his wife, what are we going to do? Like, if we're not essential for our practice, what happens? What happens with the state, with the government, with our businesses? They said essential, and he was like, okay, we're good to go. We're good to go. And
Yeah, it was a challenge because I can tell you, the kids' parents that I were working with, and a lot of times we have those kids that have disabilities, and they also have behavior issues on top of that.
mhm.
And so when I got into a couple of sessions, I can tell you one of my spitfires, and I'm sure you if you followed any of my social media pages and read any of my parent reviews, she's listed on there, and but she's my heart though. Her mom was just like, does she do this while you're here? Like, how do you do? And so you realize that parents have a difficult time not only dealing with their child's disability, but just dealing with their child's behavior. And you having the part in their life, that support in their life, you don't realize how much you're important to them to help kind of help rear this child until
Yep.
you can't be there. And so
Yeah.
she was like, I said, yeah, she doesn't do it like she's doing you, but she has a certain level of let me bolt, let me get out. I'm over it. I'm done. I said, but I know how to work her back in. And she was like, when can you come back? Now, mind you, we're still locked down. She was tired after a couple sessions. She was just like done. And I'm not talking about the kid. I'm talking about the parents. So it's interesting, but it's good to feel like you're bringing value, you're bringing substance to a family, and you're actually helping. You know what I mean? It's not just a codependency. You're helping them to say, hey, this is how you kind of reel her back in. This is what you need to do. Because before, my parents had to be instructed on, okay, I'm here only 3 hours, so you still need to do this, you still need to do that. But to actually see them trying to figure out how to do it, as opposed to me just telling them, it's a whole nother ball game.
I can imagine. Yeah. So I've definitely seen testimonials on a company website, and I was like, these are genuine testimonials. You have people that maybe pay for some testimonials or do that the computer generated stuff for YouTube, like those little commercial ads for hit the skips.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, are you looking to flip a house? Are you looking to make money? This is my people are telling you, and you're like, come on, man, this skip. But when I saw the testimonials on the Kidz-N-Motion site, I was like, oh yeah, these are real parents. You see the child interacting with how the program works and everything, and I'm like, this is real. This is clearly making a difference in their lives.
Yeah, because you have to understand my motive and my goal was not just to create something to make money, but to create something that's going to make an impact and change lives.
Mm.
And what I do is at the core of who I am. I love children, and I love helping children. I think my history with infertility and finding out that the one baby that I was able to kind of bring to at least 5 weeks, they tested had Turner syndrome. And so I had no recollection or collection of any idea of what disabilities would look like. And so I have been prepared with that history to kind of give me a different level of empathy and compassion for these parents with children with disabilities. And so my heart goes out to them. Once they are my patients, those kids become my babies as if they're my very own. And the relationship with the parents is like I'm a part of the family. It becomes a lifelong friendship even after they're discharged.
I feel like that's something that I feel a lot of people don't. From when I hear people talk about going to the doctors, it's like when you was a child, you felt that connection with your pediatrician,
Yeah.
But then as you got older, you went to like have okay, here's my primary physician through my health insurance
Mhm.
with the job. You don't feel that connection no more like that. It's just gone. It's just like
No.
uh I gotta take a sick day. I'm going to the doctor's, dentist, eye doctor all on the same day. I need to get this done the same day. You don't feel like that love anymore like that.
No, it's changed. Healthcare has changed because it's kind of gone into a, a machine. You have to get so many patients in. I have a small population of kids, and so it's not a rush. I take my time because, like I said, those are my babies, and those families are like an extension of mine.
Got you.
Mm.
Okay, so the way I even came across your company was through an interview I saw done at CES 2024 in Las Vegas. Shout out to the Lab Tech Show.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I definitely want to go to CES sometime in the future because one, my wife loves Vegas.
Ah,
Two, I actually invested in a company that was at a CES called Boxable that's based in
oh,
Vegas. So I was like, okay, I need to go take a tour of the warehouse. We get to have a good time. And it's potential companies to look into, invest, and interview. Let's do that.
definitely,
but
definitely.
but tell me, what was the experience like of being there?
CES was an amazing experience. It was my first time as well.
Mm,
And so being a brand new tech founder to have something that was birthed during COVID and to now be debuted on a global stage was just surreal for me as a new tech founder. So I was in awe of, first of all, the environment and the people there and all of the different things, because I'd never heard of CES. And it was
okay.
a friend of mine who mentioned it to me as I'm trying to figure out how to market this app and do things. And he was just like, have you ever heard of CES? I'm like, no. It's like, here's a link. I want you to take a look and think about it. And I was just like, okay. So I looked at it, I was like, interesting. He's like, I think you should go. I'm like, all right, I'll go. He was like, then he called back 2 days later. He said, I don't think you should just attend. I think you should be an exhibitor. I was like, excuse me, say what? He was like, you don't think 8 months is enough time for you to be able to kind of present this? I was just like, okay, if you say so, let's go for it. So wheels were turning, wheels were in motion. I got my team together and was happy that I did it because that experience could not be replaced, the value that it added, the connections that I made. It was just a wonderful thing. It was well received because Kidz-N-Motion stood out as the only app geared for kids in the digital health hall.
Okay.
Um, and it's amazing. You've got to go. You've got to go.
Okay. Okay, so with the Kidz-N-Motion, this is it available like on just computer or it could be downloaded through the phone? Like phone as well, like through like the Google Play Store, the Apple Store as well for the setup?
Yes. So
Okay.
Kidz-N-Motion is a physical therapy app. It is a web-based platform. So once you log in, you can sign up on the web and use it on the laptop, or you can also download the mobile app, which is available through Android, which is Google Play, as well as the Apple Store.
Okay.
Mhm.
How does that how does the whole process work? Whether is it like something that has to be prescribed through like your child's pediatrician, like the physical therapist, or can the parent can just go right into it themselves and set that up, or how?
Okay, so there are several ways. It can be something if the kids are already receiving physical therapy services, it can be something that's referred by their therapist for the parents to log on so that they have a direct connection with their therapist. It can also be something that's referred by their physician that they recommended, or if a parent has history with their children, they understand their gross motor needs, they can log on independently themselves. I just recommend that any parent that's starting an exercise program that they do consult a healthcare professional, but there are parents that are well versed in their child's health and maintaining their physical mobility and gross motor skills that they're able to actively, access the videos and do them on their own. And so basically what's going on with Kidz-N-Motion, so I give you a better detail as to what this app does. It is a physical therapy platform that works on gross motor skills, and it uses animated videos in a gamified way to keep kids engaged. Remember, I told you the issue with COVID, trying to keep kids engaged. And so what I did was I took my daughter's ambition, thinking she wanted to act. I said, well, let's test that. Here's what I need you to do. I want you to act out like 16 different gross motor activities. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the studio and have you videotaped in the studio. So we took her videotapes of all those 16 videos, converted her image to animation,
Hmm.
had add music and graphic, and now you have something that kids will attend to and kind of follow. The other beautiful caveat about Kidz-N-Motion is for therapists, it's a tool that can be used to assess a baseline assessment because you can upload a video of a child performing an activity and document daily notes, also a status report, so that you have something that 6 months later, when you want to record this child again and say, okay, today she was doing it like this. And 6 months later, this is what it looks like when she does, let's say, jumping forward. So you have something that shows evidence-based practice, which is what our profession is big on. You're not just doing something to do it, you're doing something to show progress and a benefit. And so
Gotcha.
that's the caveat of Kidz-N-Motion. So parents also have a tool that your therapist can send you a home exercise videos that you can follow. You have 5 or 6 videos that your therapist will say, here's what your home exercise program is. And you have something specific that you can actually see. Instead of me just saying, do this, this, and this, you see it. Now, as soon as that parent gets that home exercise program, guess what? When they open it, my phone gets an alert. It was seen. So that's, I mean, it gives continuity of care,
Hmm.
connection with your therapist, evidence-based practice. It also gives you a sense of assessment for the therapist, and it gives the parent a sense of connection and being involved in their child's care directly.
Wow.
Mhm.
Now that is like perfect, all angles covered right there. Like there is true accountability with that. I,
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that.
Absolutely.
Now, is this service available just in the US or is it for global as well? Like if I was in, say if I was in Thailand and I'm with the family for a month, would it still be linked up with the service as well?
For right now, I think it's available in the US. Now, I can't honestly tell you if somebody out of the country would be able to access it. They should
Okay.
be able to because the World Wide Web is
Hmm.
international.
Okay.
But we have to look into translating it into different languages. And that is also one of the future
Yes.
considerations that we have to look at in terms of other future developments for Kidz-N-Motion.
Hmm.
We are looking to add video libraries for parents of infants who have to go through developmental milestones as well, because Kidz-N-Motion is primarily geared towards those older kids, let's say preschool and up. And so
Hmm.
there's a whole other population of infants that we also need to address. It's very important to address gross motor skills as the child comes into this world. Sometimes parents don't pay attention or they're not aware that their kid may be delayed. Now, the pediatrician is the first line of defense for that. But sometimes there are things that may slip by, and a therapist is mostly more acute and astute to that because that's what we focus on, gross motor skills developmental milestone. And so that's one of the upgrades. The other upgrades that we're looking to incorporate into our app is adding the geriatric component for them to also have something for those people who may not be able to get to therapy. That's the other beautiful thing about having an app like this, because there are rural and remote areas that don't have access to therapy. There's places that you
Yeah.
can't even get physical therapy.
I can imagine.
And so to be able to have something like this to access virtually and remote and then be able to connect with a local therapist is going to be a beautiful thing. So we plan to also have something where we'll list a database for therapists that are in your area. If you happen to scroll or come across our app and decide you want to download it, but you also decide you want to connect with a therapist and you don't have one, we hopefully want to start partnering with some therapists and add them into our community
Hmm.
to have that. We're also looking to add VR technology, the virtual
Okay.
reality headsets.
Hmm.
Uh, and one of the other things is because, like I said, pediatricians are the front runners for healthcare in terms of children. So we're looking to have ownership with the pediatric practice as well, and also franchise our brand by having a therapy houses around the cities and states and stuff like that. And so Our future is looking pretty bright. We also met a company at CES, which was quite phenomenal. They were debuting their therapeutic equipment there at CES, and they're based in Korea.
Okay.
Their goal or endeavor right now is that they want their equipment in the US, and they wanted to partner with us to see how they can work on getting it into the US. And what I liked about their equipment is that they had like exoskeletons that help with walking. And
Oh,
so I wanted to definitely get some of those over here into the state, but to bear that Kidz-N-Motion logo on it.
gotcha, gotcha. Now that's a skeleton thing. That's a big that's like a big improvement for a lot of people.
It
That
is.
the thought of that support system is like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Makes a big difference, especially if those, now I'm seeing it a lot more with the adults that are paralyzed. So
Hmm.
they're all rehabs. And so for our kids and our babies that are born with cerebral palsy, or there's certain syndromes where they have difficulties walking or delays in walking, those things would be very beneficial for them.
Yes, most definitely.
Mhm.
Um, with the services that are provided, would this be is it like a monthly subscription or would be yearly setup?
There's
Or is it
both.
both?
The option is a monthly,
Mhm.
if you want to try it out for a couple of months, and there is also an option to do an annual subscription.
Okay, okay, perfect, perfect. And is it a difference in price point between the parents versus a physical therapist?
There is, because the database does not hold it doesn't hold your data, but it does give the therapist the opportunity to document paperwork and their assessments, but it gives them the opportunity to download it to their own system as opposed to in the actual app itself. So there's no data information from the patients in our actual device. It also is a reference for the parents. And so the price point for the parent is $25 monthly, and for the therapist, it's 30. We're looking to do promotions and sales coming up really soon. We're going to do some marketing to kind of promote the app as well, and kind of get some more promotional sales and deals going on out there for the app.
Okay, okay. I mean, you've touched on the history, both yourself and the company, the services, plans for the future. Tell me, what was the what has been the most difficult aspect of getting this started?
The most difficult aspect has been finding funding, because
Hmm.
obviously there's not much you can do in terms of advertising and marketing and getting materials or even getting the project started without funding. And again, I'm a physical therapist who works, full time for the school system, part time for myself. It was a lot of money just to have the thing built. And then you had to look into having staff to help you with this along the way. I had no clue how much any of this was going to cost me. And so when the tally started adding up, I was just like, gee, but I'm in the middle of the ocean. I've got to swim to the other side. So I've got to suck it up and just kind of figure it out how to get this done. And in walks, my partner, who's helping with trying to get the capital and put me in front of the right people to get connected. And so those things are difficult for me because I didn't realize it was going to be this hard, because this is launched over a year or so now. But to get eyes on it, I think it took more like this. It took CES for people to know who I was and that I was out there and that this even existed, because I did mention it to my department or the friends in my circle. But on a larger stage, it takes a lot to get that out there, which is what marketing does.
Yeah, and I know I've always heard how hard it is for founders to just get the funding going,
Yeah.
let alone when they hit them with like, hey, it's a woman. Then it goes,
Yeah.
hey, well, it's a black woman. And it's like they always has like there's levels to it.
Yeah.
People are like, well, what industry are you in? Okay, let me see if this is gonna be a good, ROI on this. I don't
Yes.
know. So
Yes.
I can imagine I can
Yes.
imagine that was something that was difficult right there.
Yes.
Uh how how has it been maintaining a positive work culture for you?
For me, because I internally carry positivity where I go. I don't like to let any negativity seep in. So when I gathered my team, I gathered like-minded individuals that were passionate about the project, who had a direct connection with children and passion for helping children. And so when you have like-minded people with the same type of energy of positivity, it can only cultivate, a positive atmosphere and grow into more positivity.
Gotcha.
Mm,
Gotcha.
yeah.
As far as because you have said you want to expand your networking right now, people for for physical increasements here. Is there anything else people should know about the company that's upcoming? Like maybe some more events you might be at to promote, any fundraisers, anything like that they should know about?
Right now we're looking to make some more debuts, or at least be present at more tech conferences coming up. So I know my professional organization has just had our conference, and so I missed that one, focusing on CES. So the next one would be our APTA, which is American Physical Therapy Association. The conference is there. There's also the Black Tech conferences or any other conferences. I have to do more research on those to kind of get the information and the word out that, hey, I exist. This is what I'm doing. Take a look and see if there's something interesting here. Certainly, if you have children, there's something that you should pay attention to. Certainly, if you have children that have a disability, or children that are just sedentary. Children that are recovering from a surgery or going into surgery, that they may have to have rehabilitation. There's something you want to consider. Or if you have parents that just need some references and they've already had their children with disability with a therapist or whatever, those are the people you want to recommend that they take a look at it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, I have to say you have answered everything in good detail here.
Cool.
Um, I would say that's everything. This has been a wonderful interview.
Awesome. Awesome. It was a pleasure talking to you. I appreciate the reach out to kind of get this information out there with me and share my story.
Most definitely. I honestly hope this opens up a lot more doors for you, brings in some funding, potential
Mm,
partners.
yes.
But yeah, that is everything.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I want to say, as I always say, whether here on I.O.N or over on the Take Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure. Enjoy yourself, enjoy the day, and stay prosperous. Peace.
Peace. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.